Welcome back to page 121. We're going to take a look at the Dragon that was on sale 40 years ago. Issue 98, the 9th anniversary issue of Dragon. And in it we're promised post-Holocaust monsters and details about dragons. All that for our $3. I always like this cover. This is a very interesting cover. Oddly contemporary stuff. Sunglasses, a telephone. Just an interesting treasure hoard. Kind of like to know the backstory on that particular dragon. Diving in, the June 1985 edition. Let's Smash Skulls again, Warhammer. Being distributed from Games Workshop out of Columbia, Maryland, of course from Great Britain. Creatures and Treasures from Iron Crown Enterprises out of Charlottesville, Virginia. I liked Iron Crown Enterprises' Space Master. I really liked their universe. And of course, Silent Death. Dragon Magazine. June 1985. We get a nice table of contents, our editorial, our letters to the editor, and are you suffering from tableitis? The terrifying disease can strike Dungeon Master and player alike. Need a table quickly? The new improved AD&D Dungeon Master's screen. This is actually the one I use every week. I have two of the older ones, but they're showing their age, so I only use those on special occasions. So I got a bunch of these at Toys R Us when they closed them out in 85, 86, and picked up a bunch for $2. King Arthur, Pendragon, Chivalric Role-Playing in Arthur's Britain. And this is from Pendragon. Pendragon's now available. From Chaosium, out of Albany, California. Dragon Lore, a hoard of words on our favorite subject, Dragon Treasure. That's a lot of fun. The article is Tailor-Made Treasure, Develop Different Hoards for Different Dragons by Roger E. Moore. I love doing dragon hoards. I love giving out a dragon hoard after a long, hard-fought campaign. It's a lot of fun. I've done games where I started the first half of the night was nothing but divvying up the treasure from the previous game. Those are a lot of fun. Continuing our article, we get an ad for Dragonfire. Bring your computer to the Dark Ages. That's clever. Handbook of Horrors. And you could send your credit card. Orders can call the 800 number. And these guys are out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Another ad for the right-of-way still goes to the biggest guns, Steve Jackson Games. This is Car Wars. I played some Car Wars back in the 80s. The Magic of Dragon Teeth. Pull them, plant them, and stand back. The Children of the Hydra, one of my favorite parts of any of the Ray Harryhausen films where he fights the skeletons. I know these are dragons and that's a Hydra, but still kind of the same idea. Continuing on our article about pulling dragon teeth, we get an ad for Feudal Lords from Graph Simulations out of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Computer-moderated play-by-mail. Earthwood, Dawn of the Ancients, out of Miami, Florida. This is also play-by-mail. Illuminati, the fast, exciting new play-by-mail game of intrigue and strategic conflict. And this is from Adventure Systems, Houston, Texas. Steve Jackson Games. And from Ancient Mystic Empires comes Music for Adventure Gaming. That's kind of neat. A little soundtrack for you. We usually play older stuff while we play. This is from Lotus Records out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Interesting. There's lots of mood music now for it, courtesy of Lord of the Rings and all the other stuff that's come out. Dragon Damaged Revised. Claw and bite attacks graded by age and size. This was an idea they really ran with in 2nd edition. Dragons became much more powerful in 2nd edition. I use this a bit, but I've always bumped up dragon damage. Half the game is named for them, for crying out loud. The Dragons of Krynn. More background for Dragonlance campaigns by Roger Moore. Dragonlance was pretty neat when it first came out. I didn't think after the initial ones it held up very well, but that's just me. A little lower magic too. I stole things from it. I have Towers of High Sorcery in my Greyhawk campaign, just because that's cool. But we're finishing out our article here, and we're going to cast our own fantasy figure through the Duncan Company out of Calvert, Texas. The Legion of Heroes wants you for the Battle System fantasy game from TSR. Also from TSR, Dragons of Winter Night, the 2nd book in the Chronicles, the Dragonlance Saga, the original one. Creative magic items. DMs are not limited to what's in the book. Boy, do I know that. I've made up many of my own magic items. If there's any interest in a few of them, I can post them up and go over them. Let me know if you're interested in that. Get it all the easy way from a single source. Draco Digitalis, purveyors of fine role-playing games. That sounds like Harry Potter spell. These guys were out of Burton, Washington. Continue on our article. And then we go to Game Town, everything games and puzzles in San Diego, California. Skeletal Legions from Ral Partha. Warriors, RuneQuest, Dragons. I think I have that dragon. I don't see anybody else I have. Nope, I don't see anybody else I have. Ral Partha, I love Ral Partha. I think they just went out of business. These guys were out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I think Ral Partha just closed their doors. Detailing a fantasy world. After mapping comes mixing and fixing. Yeah, you got to detail your fantasy world. That can be a bit of a challenge for you sometimes. Anne McPhee's Riders of Pern come to life from Nova Game Designs out of Manchester, Connecticut. This is a book versus book game. Battletech was like that when it first started. Continue our article. And then we get an ad for Villains and Vigilantes from Fantasy Games Unlimited out of Roslyn, New York. V&V was an interesting system. New board games from Pacesitter. Wabbit Wampage. Blackbourne Manor, the Chill board game. Pacesetter Games. There you go. Never played any of those. If you did, let me know. They're any good. It's a neat idea, but Dragonlance Chronicles 1 and 2, a review for them, and not just a gimmick. And there's a review for, looks like book 2, or both of them. Interesting. Like I say, I liked Dragonlance when it started. I bought them and read them. It was neat to have some actual pros for D&D. Knowing what's in store. Read this before your PC's next buying spree. Magic shops. I know this is more than magic shops, but magic shops can be fun. I limit the heck out of them. Psyworld from Fantasy Games Unlimited out of Roslyn, New York. You could be a psionic. Continuing on, our purchasing, our shopping spree, if you will. And it's kind of interesting because it's some stuff you wouldn't think about, like hides and such. Finish out our article there. We get Games Workshop press release. Citadel Miniatures is pleased to announce the release of the Lord of the Rings gaming miniatures. Wow. I do remember seeing these on the shelf. It's out of Columbia, Maryland again. I remember seeing these on the shelf back in the day. I didn't really buy them. I had a lot of lead figures at that point. And I didn't want necessarily specific ones, but it would have been neat to have them. Auctions aren't forbidding. Get it? Who and what to expect. Many gamers have attended conventions without getting involved in one of the most fun things. That's auctions. Yes, auctions can be a lot of fun at game conventions. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons play-by-mail. And this is out of Charlotte, North Carolina. What's the company? Entertainment Concepts, Inc. Huh. I never did a play-by-mail. I know some people have commented that they have and they really enjoyed it. Here's the forum. Some more kind of letters to the editor. Opinion pieces about what's going on in the industry. There's some interesting stuff in there. And then we have an ad for Jorun by Sky Realms. He's coming to Gen Con Convention number 18. RK Cave Miniatures, I don't know how to say that word, out of Berkeley, California. And use the Games of Berkeley toll-free game line for all your gaming needs. Yes, you used to be able to call some of these lines and get some of your gaming questions answered. Never did it. Continuing on our forum and the World Gamers Guide. So who's playing where? These are some folks you can find if you live outside the continental U.S. Now we have the internet. Which alien is dangerous? The Aslan Kikri Vargir. Traveler. Game Designers Workshop out of Bloomington, Illinois. These were outstanding supplements. These were some of the best supplements around at the time. I really enjoy these. Coming attractions from TSR. What's coming up? Let's see. SPI Wargame, New York Marvel Superheroes, Conan the Buccaneer, Bugs in the System Star Frontiers. I bought that one. I had Conan at one time. I don't know if I still have it. Unearthed Arcana. Oh, there's the ad for Unearthed Arcana. I know I was excited about that, even though we read most of the stuff that's in Unearthed Arcana by now. We'd read a lot of it. Battle for Ancient Robot. It's a one-on-one game book. Best of Dragon Magazine Volume 4. Mystery of the Ancients, Endless Quest book, Renegades of Luntar, Crimson Crystal book, and Castle Caldwell and Beyond basic set, B9. And then we have an ad for Chill, The Dead Don't Rest, from Pacesetter Games. And these guys were out of Delavan, Wisconsin. And we've got an ad for the producer of Dungeons & Dragons game, now bringing the adventures of the greatest barbarian of the Hyborian Age, Conan, the role-playing game. I never bought the Conan actual role-playing game. There were some modules I did pick up. Never bought the game. Mutant Manual, an Ares section special. I love Mutant Manual. They did, I think, 3 of these. These were so much fun. Gamma World, new stuff for Gamma World was pretty rare at the time, so it was pretty cool to get all these creatures together. I don't want to call them monsters, they're creatures. But it's a little pull-out section if you wanted. I remember Xeroxing this one. I had a job where I actually had access to a copier. So I went ahead and I Xeroxed this, and for my own use. Just some really neat critters in here. I should take a look at some of these in more detail, maybe in a future video. I've done that before. But some really good monsters in there, creatures. And we get the end with bot bashers. I use those. Those are fun. Roll your own. Rapham miniatures with 13 parts, so you can go ahead and customize your guy. Rapham out of Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Authentic Agencies Part 2, the more real-world outfits for the top secret game. Well, that's pretty cool. I've forgotten about this. I know that it was in the last issue, was Part 1. That's neat. Wizzy System, Alta System, and Wizzy News from Nichols Services out of Columbus, Georgia. And then label your letters so they know who it came from. When you send it in Dragon 40 years ago, Hyborian War, Imperial Conquest, The Age of Conan, play-by-mail game out of Tempe, Arizona. Twilight 2000 from Game Designers Workshop. The bombs have dropped. You're trying to find a way to survive in the hardscrabble world of Twilight 2000. GDW out of Bloomington, Illinois. The Forging of Fear. A little bit of fiction for us. I was very hit and miss with the fiction in Dragon. I would read it sometimes. Other times I would not. I don't remember reading this one. Nothing against the writers or anything. I'm sure it's fine. It's just how I was. One-on-one adventure books, new from TSR. Yeah, I had some of these. And then you can join the RPGA 40 years ago. The RPGA, I joined that in, I think, 2000. Ares, science fiction gaming section. I was surprised the Gamma World section wasn't in here, but I'm okay with that. I love Gamma World. We get a little bonus. Then we have our own table of contents for this with our own editorial telling us about what's going to be in the Ares section. It was treated as its own little sub-magazine. The Volturnus Connection, building background for the Volturnus campaign. Oh, I remember reading this article. This was a fun one. Yeah, I do remember this one. And then we have an ad for Chivalry and Sorcery and Daredevils, both from Fantasy Games Unlimited out of Roslyn, New York. When History Goes Awry, alternate parallels in the Time Master game. I never played Time Master. I'm not really familiar with the game. If you played it, let me know. Was it any good? And then continuing on our article there, it's Clobbering Time. Clobberin' Time, the Marvel Superheroes RPG. Did play that a little bit. Interesting. Champions is better. Sorry, my opinion. Alone Against the Asteroid. The Asteroid game, Solitaire. Let's see. Asteroid. I'm trying to remember who did this one. Oh, this is the game. Oh, I see. Okay. That's interesting. Space Opera from Fantasy Games Unlimited. Kind of a Traveler clone. Interesting book. Very complicated rule system. Again, out of Roslyn, New York. Return to the Viper's Pit. Expanding your Marvel Superheroes campaign. Star Questions. Answers and advice on the Star Frontiers game. These were really useful. I love these. The Marvel File. Where the heroes are. So if you're looking for a specific hero in Marvel, this is an index of where they appeared, which is pretty neat. And then DC Heroes Superpowers, the role-playing game. A new concept in role-playing games. Everybody was jumping into the superhero role-playing game at the time. The Justice Machine, a source book for Heroes Unlimited. This was Palladium? Yep, Palladium Books out of Detroit, Michigan. Strong. Convention calendar, jumping that way in August. So it was on sale now. And this was out of TSR, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Gamer's Guide. Just some kind of personal ads for gamers. And then the choices you use are yours. The new Endless Quest books from TSR give you more choices than ever. Continuing out the forum, we have Wormy, a 100-page anthology of Wormy strips. Story of Wormy from the beginning to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And then, of course, Wormy himself making an appearance in Dragon. There we go. Gotta love Wormy. Just one page of Wormy this time. We get some Dragon Mirth. And then we have Snarf Quest. Continuing through Snarf Quest, we get 3 pages of Snarf Quest and then some Dragons Missing from Your Lair. You can go ahead and fill in some back issues from TSR. And then we have Paranoia, a role-playing game of a darkly humorous future from West End Games, now being published by Mongoose. I played some Paranoia back in the 80s. It was a good game. You've got to have a group that's going to be ready to go against each other. And that becomes a problem when you have a tighter group. And then we have an ad for Space Master. The Challenge of the Future Awaits from Iron Crown Enterprises. I really liked the universe stuff for Space Master. Not a fan of the game mechanics, but I really, really enjoyed the universe of Space Master. I've taken several things from it and plugged it into my various Traveler and Star Frontiers campaigns over the years. So there you have it. That's a look at Dragon number 98 from June 1985. I remember being really excited. We'd already decided we were going to go to Gen Con that year. I ended up not being able to go because I was out of town on business. But my wife and some of our gaming group went. They had a lot of fun. I was able to go the next year. But didn't end up going. Or no, I didn't go until 87. I missed 86. But that's all I've got today on page 121. Just a quick look at Dragon Magazine from 40 years ago. Let me know what you think. I always feel a little bit older every time I do one of these. But this is one of my favorite segments of the channel to do. We were still in the era of not great covers and binders from TSR. If you see it doesn't really fit here, that's not a roll from how I store it, because it's stored upright in a box. That's how I bought it. But that's all I got today on page 121. Thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please leave me comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. But tell your friends. Let's keep the channel growing. That's all I've got for today, though. And I'll see you next time on page 121.